Hello everyone, SWEPCO Radperformance. I'm going to be assembling this Rochester carburetor in the series that I was talking about. This is the 800 Rochester that I'm going to be using for a Chevy. So I have the Chevy main throttle bore here. I'm going to be adapting to it. So in the last video I tore it all down. You can link to that and look for the Radperformance channel. You'll see the teardown of the 800 Rochester where I pulled it all apart. And what I normally do is I normally give it a bath in simple green and water. I let it soak for a day or two. And so for right now it's basically clean, it's done. I use a brush to brush everything. Just a nylon brush that I brush it all out. And now that it's taken out and it's all washed, it does leave some residue from the water from washing it. So what I'll use now is denatured alcohol, and I'll throw all the parts and I'll just use a brush to just clean over it. And we'll make sure all the orifices are all clean. A tool I've used for the carburetors is this is basically a cleaning kit for carburetors. It goes down to the numbered drill bits. You could send me a comment if you're curious about this tool, and I'll try to send you a link. I had this for a few years. I don't know. You may be able to get it on Amazon now. I got this a while back for the Hollies. So these are just grooved cleaning dowels. I use these for all the vent tubes and whatnot. Just you want to make sure all the gum and crud is broken free. So what we're going to do is we'll start with the top hat, and then I'll go to clean everything else. So just going to put some denatured alcohol. Like I said, it's really just to get everything. It's just a solvent cleaner after you wash it out with the water and simple green. Maybe you can see it from over there. And I'm really just taking it into the bleed tubes. And then I'll blow this out with air too. And to get all that residue off. From the residue from the water and the simple green. We got our tap hole here, right here, for the part throttle adjustment. I did a video on that of what to knock out and tap. So you could, on the mid-70s Rochesters, they had an adjustable part throttle that you just need to gain access so you can make it, so you could tune it on the car. And that's what that is. So an actual plug will go there so I could have access to it and tune it on the engine. Just gonna crack a door. So that's basically it. It's just wiped down. All clean with the denatured alcohol, and that'll evaporate and dry up. So now we'll go to the main body. Like I said, this is really just for the residue that gets from it sitting outside. I just use all hardware store parts that you can get to. So the denatured alcohol is cheap. It's not as caustic as the carburetor spray or brake spray. It doesn't kill you when you're spraying it. And this evaporates off just as well. So what I'm going to do now is show you. So you have a lot of orifices here. So you have the idle well right here. So I don't ream it. You just want to clean it. So you just pick something that's just small enough. These are all brass, so you don't really want to hurt anything here in the passages. You can knock these out also, but I found unless you're going to modify them, you make sure everything is clean. You get to the bottom. If there's any gum buildup of the I'm even going to go in the primary jet here. The squirter, actually. Okay. Make sure they go all the way down. Then you have the orifice down here for the main jets and the main well. So basically, and this thing came out clean. This was, like I said, it was soaking and it was already clean. But you just want to take, this is like an aluminum file. It's made for cleaning out the carburetor passages. You really want to come in here and clean these passages. This is crucial, especially for the idling and the idle circuit. You may have a blocked passage that you don't even realize, and unless you come in and clean it, it'll still stay blocked. Okay. I think this would be great right here. So what I'm going to do is, now if you didn't have compressed air, it's no big deal. This should be fine, but I just have it, so I'm just going to blow through. Come on, side. You could see as I blew down in the jet, it came up through the metering. Because all the passages are all linked. Even these you can see. So when you're blowing through here, it's coming right up. And you want to make sure all of that is clean. The last part will be the this was all cleaned very well. It's just, I'm just going through in case you want to do an extra step on it. Now these are the idle screw circuits right here, so we'll make sure we'll blow air through there also. And they come through here. And like I said, just making sure. Just to get all the residue off. So we can go ahead and start assembling it. So I'm going to take the air, And like I said, this will be the most important is through here. I don't know if you saw it shot right out of the idle circuit. There it goes. Important to do that. Even the vacuum ports. Okay. And we're good to go with that. Okay. So what we can do here is we could assemble the throttle body to the main body. We can get that going now because all the work will be in the main body. Then we don't have to flip it over after. And in one of the last videos, if you look for the Radperformance, this was an 800, and hopefully you can see that there. You see the ridge is very small, and there's a little baby bump right here. This makes it an 800 CFM Rochester. If you didn't notice the baby bump, the ridge would be a bigger ridge all the way around. That would be the 750. The only two options. 750 and 800, no other. No matter who tells you what, it's just not true. They only made two. Okay. Put this guy back on. Align the gasket. This has multiple screws coming through. We'll just use the two right here just to keep it together for now. Give it a little snug. We'll come around when all the bolts are going back, and then we'll check it. After that, I always make sure nothing is getting bound up in the throttle bore. So that's in good shape. So now we'll start with just reassembly with a lot of our parts and pieces. This is the well cup. You may not have this on yours. This was just taking up for the additional reservoir. Some of the carburetors used it. The Cadillacs used it. There was an additional reservoir here for high altitude. Okay, this will go there. Piston pump. I'm going to get our jets here. I have a new needle and seat. I'm looking for my check ball. Here we go. show you where that goes later. Okay, so for these jets, I mic these out with these gauges. You can do that. This is just around a 74, 76. So I'm going to leave them. They do say with today's fuel, you can go up a little more, maybe to 78. And I have the metering rods with it because of the oxygenated gas. So, but I think I'll be fine. I think I'll be fine with these jet sizes. I just use this alignment to help me out. The jets go all the way down in here. They don't really take a lot of pressure. Just make sure that they're snug. You don't have to kill them. Always look through, make sure they're nice and clean. But these, like I said, I had all this stuff soaking, so all this stuff is clean. Okay, so these are the primary jets. So they're in. Primary jets. You do not have rear secondary jets on the Rochester. Just an orifice, and the metering rods do all the work. This is a check ball. Hopefully I don't lose it. And your check ball retaining nut. And it goes just ahead of the jet. So if I can drop it in there. Or we just put a little bit of WD, especially on the things that get threaded in. And it's always fun to have to align it. So the magnetic screwdrivers don't really work a lot. A lot of this stuff is brass, so you just have to play with it and fight with it. We'll get this guy in. If I can get this guy in. Okay. Okay. Again, we're not gonna kill it. I'm just gonna snug it down. Just put a little bit of lube on the needle and seat assembly. Take out my bag of tricks. Okay. So we have a brand new seat, a brand new washer. That gets assembled right in the front casing. You got your main jets, you had your check ball with the retainer screw, and now this will be the seat. And all of this will work with the float. Okay. Just use a big blade screwdriver so you come across both, just so you don't mar it up. This will be for my power piston. The primary power piston has a little plastic retainer. We'll cut that out, we'll put a new one. And I have new metering rods for it also. These were actually bent and I fixed them, but I was able to get new ones. So I think that's just a better bet. And it has the little, if you can see it, there's a little retainer spring. It's a wire. Keeps them out like that. It keeps them from falling loose when they're inside. So you need that little wire spring. Keep that, and then make sure this is square. Square down. It's not a lot of times these get bent. Like I said, this one was all bent. I guess when they put the air horn in, it wasn't sitting right. It happens so often I've seen them that these are bent, and this gets bent up or pushed down. It is actually just a little, just pushing down on one side just to make it, but pretty much it's square. Because this will ride inside. So we'll take this piece out, just snip it. It's all hard and brittle. So this is the new retainer for it. We'll put that around. It has a slit in it. Got to feed it around and then slide in here, and it will hold it down. I'm going to get my new metering rods. I would suggest getting the late model metering rods. I'll show you on this. I think these are a set size. And with today's gas, these were varied so much with the 70s, but with today's gas, 76, 78 jets with this size taper on the metering rod, these are just no more than 28 thousandths, 26 thousandths. They have a step, if you could see it. They do step up. They go to 45 and then down to like 26. So these would work perfectly. Basically, you want to enrich in it. You want a little more fuel because of the quality of the fuel and the oxygen in the fuel. I'm also changing, as like I said, these were bent, so they were a little bit messed up to begin with. So I'm going to keep that retaining ring, hopefully get it all aligned. There we go. Okay, there's one. Now try to get the other one. There you So I was just maneuvering it around the retaining spring, and this one popped out. So you just want to make sure, hook it all up so that the retaining spring is doing its job. When you hold the power piston, the metering rod should be out, and that's what the spring is doing. It's holding it out. So when it goes in the bore, it'll go in and it'll be resting against the jets instead of creating turbulence, bouncing around with nothing there. So we'll just lube up the accelerator pump area. I'm just putting this in to see how everything fits. Okay, so there's a nice fitment. It goes in, so that I'm happy with that. This I cleaned with steel wool just to get it nice and smooth in the bore. I'm just looking for my retaining spring. I thought I had a new one, but I guess I did not. Yeah, I thought I had a new one for it. I guess not. Okay. So there's a spring underneath the primary piston. The spring will go back. There'll be another spring here for the accelerator pump. We'll put that back. Just going to see again how everything fits and lives happy. We don't want to create any bind or any stress with it. And you got to always line up the metering rods. Okay, great. Take our pump. This has a new Viton seal on it for the oxygenated gas also. All this stuff is really for that purpose. Just fitting it in so I could feel it before anything. I don't know if you noticed it, it started squirting with the accelerator pump, so that's awesome. I think it needs a little more, just a lube in there. You don't want it to gall up, so make sure this is in there right. Okay. Very cool. So we got that ready to go. We put it in. Put this bad boy right on here. Okay. Now we'll grab our float assembly. And the float will sit right here. We'll check the height, and it goes with the needle has the little needle and the little hook. There you go. Man, it pays to have small fingers, I'll tell you that. And when you have fat, chubby fingers, everything makes it harder. So the proper way GM did it was, this is how it'll hang. It just gracefully hangs on that piece. It doesn't go in the holes, and it doesn't go through the front. It goes through the back. And some people don't bother putting this. GM did, so we'll do it. The main thing is, with the older fuel, when it got varnished and gummed up, this needle would get stuck, which is why it needed this on the movement to pull it back out. With today's fuels, they say that's not as critical anymore, but I think it's still a good bet to hook it up and put it in. Of course, it fell in the wrong spot. We'll get them back out. Put him back in. Set it all up to see how he sits. This is the retaining clip. You saw I was bending it out. Always give a little bend out so that the air horn will make contact with it. It'll just help that. Yeah, so that's it. Beautiful. It's touching right on it, on that needle. So that's awesome. We'll drop him back in without it, so we can just test it. You push down, and then you can bend this appropriately. This is where it pivots on that retaining clip. I'm doing it by eye now. It needs to go below the air horn, and then I'll get the measurement. So now we'll continue with the assembly. The floats in, the metering rods with the choke cover. So now we got the gasket. Normally with the air horn gasket there'll be a little tear, and that scoops under the primary rods. And you can see it has the hole for the actuator and the two holes for the primary rod. So normally you just maneuver it so you can get it under, and then scoop around those rods. There you go. And it'll just pop in. When you have a new gasket, it's very pliable. Push these down. Okay. Just always make sure that the primary rods move freely. Okay, this will all be bolted down, and that still moves freely. And you have sight through the primary air bleeds, and then the primary jet that comes out to here. So now we'll just fit our accelerator pump, put a little more WD on it, Always keep everything lubed so it doesn't bind up. Put this through here. Okay, that'll stay down. The air bleeds will have to fit through. And I'm just being mindful of the accelerator pump, that it has to fit through. Okay. And there you go. It dropped right down. You don't force it, because then you'll bend the primary rods. So that literally just dropped right in. And now we can get started with the screws. So you have 2 in the air horn here. I may get a needle nose. A lot of times it helps to just get a needle nose for the screws, because they're just hard to get. We're just snugging everything down now. Make sure we go around the carburetor. We have everything, and then we'll just give it a little more tightening after the fact. I always like putting WD on. These guys run all the way down through the main body, so I always give a little WD. Sometimes they get stuck on the bottom there. Okay. This guy goes right here in the front. Put him back. Going to put the Allen in. That's what we did for the adjustment of the part throttle. So this doesn't have to be tight. We're just going to snug them in, because we'll probably adjust it. Okay. I have the air deflector here. Put those back in. Just put some WD on it. So now we'll have the accelerator pump that goes right here where we left the dowel pin. in the previous video I told you, we'll always leave the dowel with a little bit of room for a little flathead to just give leverage, help you put it through. So I always put it on the inner hole. It'll give a bigger pump shot, and that's just better for street performance. Some of the other cars, they came with a little lazy shot, they went to the rear. So it's just leverage. The closer you go, the higher the pump shot will be. So we're going to push this down. We'll push this down, and then we'll use this dowel as a guide. Okay. And I can let this relax, actually. Okay. Let that relax. I think that dowel pin moved. And then you just have to force that dowel pin back in. You may have to switch up to a bigger screwdriver once you get to that area. Just a bigger blade screwdriver for it. The dowel pin really helps. When you use the dowel pin first, it helps you guide it in. It goes right in. It doesn't put pressure, because you could crack this little boss off, and then you'll have a garbage air horn. You could try to JB weld all you want, but that'll always be an issue. So just put the dowel pin, and it'll help you guide it in. So now we got that. And you could even hear it. You could hear that motion of the accelerator pump. So that's working fine. The last thing for the air horn, so we have the linkage here, the throttle's here. The idle screw is here. Normally what I do is I'll just turn the idle screw in until the throttle bore is just opening. That'll get you in the ballpark. Start the car, then you could raise the throttle and then turn the screw in. Your idle mixture screws, I have a tool here for it. You normally bottom them out gently, don't force them, and then just turn them out around 2 turns. You could do 1.5 to 2.5. I just do 2 with a little more. It depends on the vehicle, and then you'll tune that. But that'll get you in the ballpark. Like I said, tune the idle screw till these things crack. The primaries just crack open. That'll get you some kind of idle circuit. And then the mixture screws, you can go in the ballpark of 2. 2, 2.25, and then when you start it up, you'll see. Because most cars are right there. Okay, so we'll go once around again, and the last thing for the top will be the hanger with the secondary rods. So let me see if I have a screw for these. So these just drop in through the top. There's a hole here for it on either side. And if you remember, I showed you in the main body, there's a hole there. It lifts that right up, and that's all it needs to do. It needs to hike it up right there. Okay, so that's pretty much the finished assembly of it. I will plug up these vacuum ports. I'm not using the secondary pull-off like I mentioned in the other video, or the primary pull-off. I'll just plug those. These are solely for the choke function. I will be putting a choke on. That'll be in the next video. I'll show you about the choke with the linkage. I will put that back in here. I'll just have the electric choke. I won't have the additional pull-offs. I'm gonna, I'll know we start it, we let it warm up, and then we proceed. We're not starting the car up ice cold on a cold, snowy day and flooring the gas. And those pull-offs will limit the secondaries for that purpose. So I'm not going to install any of that. I'll just leave it the way it is. So one last thing will be the fuel filter adapter. So this, I put a new gasket. If you could see here, it's a new Teflon gasket. You normally get it with the kit. I can show you the old. It's right here, just a Teflon gasket. It literally sits in a ridge on this piece here. And then it sits down. There we go. So this will go here, and we will put a new filter along with a new spring. So that I will do. New filter and spring. Fuel filter, hole, the adapter. Hole goes on the inlet. Fuel goes in, it disperses through the filter, and then it goes into the carburetor. So we'll put it in just like that. I'm just going to put a touch of Teflon tape, even though people say don't. But I do this on the Hollies, on all of them, just a single. Just, it helps with all the impurities of the carburetor. Got the spring, the fuel filter, and the adapter. This will run down by hand, and we'll just give a little more tension on it. Most of the fuel filter adapters are all 1 inch. I'm just going to give it a little snug. If it's on the car and it leaks, you can give it a little more. I just do it just like that. You have the Teflon, you have that gasket in the back, and you really don't have to swing on it. If you have to swing on it, there's something wrong. So, okay. So there we go. 1-800-CFM for a small block Chevy. Beautiful combination. So, you'll probably get to see the video of me putting it on the Camaro. I'll start and tune it, see how it runs. Should be great. And I will do a video about the assembly of the electric choke, so look out for that. It should be along with this one. Please like and subscribe to the Radperformance channel. As always, if you have any questions or any comments, please leave them. SWEPCO High Performance Petroleum Greases and Oils. If you're in the need for anything, please reach out to me. I supply the Northeast. So have a good day, guys.